Chag Sameach, everybody. Hi, I'm Chaim Metzger, and Avrech at Beit Midrash Zichron Dov. This video is part of a series of videos by Beit Midrash Zichron Dov, about 5 minutes apiece. They're being done daily, and to receive these videos by email, please sign up at the link in the video description. This video is dedicated by Francis and Moshe Goldstein, with love to our grandchildren Wolf, it's his birthday, and Blythe, and Ira, Abby, and Benji. We can't wait to hug and kiss you after COVID. Now, I'd like to take everybody back to around 30 years before the turn of the century, to 2,050 years ago, to the time of Rabbi Yehuda ben Betzera. So, why am I taking us back then? Because as we know, we're going to be having a Pesach that falls out on Sunday, which means the Erev Pesach is on Shabbos. So we're all running around trying to figure out what the issue is, when we have to make sure to finish our chametz on time. But there was a bigger problem back in the time of the second Beit HaMikdash. They wanted to know if Erev Pesach falls out on Shabbos, which means the time of bringing of the Korban Pesach is supposed to be done then on Shabbos. The question is, what can you do in terms of offering the Korban, this offering, on Shabbos? And none of them knew. Can you slaughter the Korban? What are you allowed to do on Shabbos in regards to Pesach? What are you allowed to do? What can we do? So they didn't know. So they looked around and they saw there was this one Jew who came from Bavel, and he might know the answer. His name is Hillel. He learned by Shmai V'Avtal, the two previous greats of the previous generation, and they asked him, "What can we do?" So he responded as follows: "What do you mean that you don't know what to do? Every year we have hundreds of Pesachs that violate Shabbos." And they're like, "What do you mean hundreds?" He says, "Because the Korban that we bring every single day, the Korban Tamid, the daily offering, we bring both in the morning and in the afternoon, as well as the menachot that go along with it, and also on Shabbos, when we also have the Korban Musaf and its menachot, again, it's other offerings that go along with it. So all of those things are being brought on Shabbos. So if that's being done on Shabbos, then of course you could, and the punishment for doing that is not anywhere near as severe as not fulfilling the mitzvah of doing the Korban Pesach, which is punishable by karet, being cut off from God. So of course you could do it then. So the Gemara Bavli explains that he explained this to them via Kal V'chomer, meaning an a fortiori argument. He also explained to them via Zera Shava, by comparing it to, by learning it out from the Psukim, and then they accepted it. In the Talmud Yerushalmi, however, they add in another line. They say, actually, they only accepted it when he said, actually, I heard this from my teachers, from Shmaya and Natalia. The difference being is, will we accept an argument purely based on the weight of its argument, or is it required to have a tradition for an argument that's this weighty? But the other question is, but how did they not know? True, having Erev Pesach falling out on Shabbos isn't so common, but it should happen every 20 years or so, at the very least. So should maybe once every 7 years. How could this have not happened for so long that nobody knew, except for this one guy who came from Bavel who happens to know a lot, named Hillel, right? Who later becomes the Nasi after they all agree that he knows more than they do. How'd this happen? So in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they found calendars. Dead Sea Scrolls are scrolls found by the Dead Sea they're found over the last 70 years or so. But again, they were scrolls that were written around 2,000 years ago, and in them they have their own calendar. And this calendar depicts a different calendar, not a lunar one like we have, where the days change so much. Rather, it's a solar calendar. And they made sure that when does Pesach fall out? Pesach would always fall out on Thursday, meaning the 14th would fall out on a Wednesday. And if that's the case, then there's never going to be any issue of Erev Pesach Shekalet B'Shabbos, because their calendar didn't allow for it. So maybe the issue was that they had a different calendar. And that's why they needed to rely on Hillel. But I'd also like to close by talking about the end of the story. Afterwards, what happens is that Hillel didn't know all of the laws. And why did he know all the laws? Is because he started acting improperly towards the others. He was insulting them, saying, you guys didn't learn properly. You weren't respectful enough to Shmuel ben Ataliah, and that's why you forgot it. And he was busy making fun of them. And then they're like, wait, what about bringing knives on Shabbos? Can we do that? And he said, I don't know. I heard it, but I forgot it. So he says, let's see what the Jews do, because even if they're not prophets, they're the sons of prophets, and they'll do the right thing. The next day, what happened is that everybody for their Korban Pesach, they hid the knives in the wool of the sheep, and that way the animal would walk with the knife in it as well. And then as soon as he saw it, he says, actually, that's the exact right way. That's what I heard from Shmuel ben Ataliah. So we see both that there is merit to the understanding of acknowledging what you have learned, but there's also merit in being both respectful and also acknowledging that sometimes the minhag and practices of the Jewish people, they in and of themselves also can lead to the growth in Torah and growth in general. So hopefully this Pesach will be able to fulfill Erev Pesach Shabbat in its best form and truly celebrate in the proper fashion. Chag Erev Sameach.